Today I wanted to speak about prophecy and how that works, really. Would you believe? I had been in church one Sunday morning and I've been praying really hard about my mortgage payment was to come through. Or my mortgage, agreement was to come through for a new agreement. So the one that I had was a 5-year agreement and it was due to be renewed or a new deal. So I knew this was coming up in the December time. And actually prior to this, my husband had moved out of our home, and I'd always paid the mortgage myself, which wasn't a problem. It was in my name and stuff and whatever. That's just what I did at the time. And when he left, well, obviously so did all his finances. But God was teaching me that my identity wasn't in my husband. My identity was in God. I was a child of God, and it's Him that I relied on for my finances. And He would work all this out. And I was very broken. And I missed my husband so much. But anyway, God had other plans for that time. And I was like, this is how I say I was in training school. So He started to work on things with me and, deal with my anxiety and really build my faith. This is just God training me in absolute faith. And I'm like, right, how am I going to pay this mortgage? And I don't know what to do. Anyway, I phoned the mortgage company and this is how God works. God is classy. This is what I mean by He goes before you. He's already there. A couple of years ago, He was already there. And a couple of years ago, when I first got my mortgage, so this was 7 years down the road after my mortgage, I've been paying a couple of pound extra, not very much, every month. But what my bank, my building society that my mortgage was with, what they were doing was every extra payment, I thought that was coming off my mortgage, but that wasn't what was happening. They were putting that in a side account. And we're storing this as part of savings or something like that. And I didn't realise this, so I phoned the mortgage company and I'm speaking to them about this. And they were like, oh, Mrs. Robinson, do you realise you have enough money here to pay 5.5 months of your mortgage? And I was like, sorry? And they were like, yeah, you've been overpaying your mortgage for the past 7 years, and you've now got there's a couple of £1,000 in it. yeah. And she said, so you can go ahead. No, I was ringing up to see about renegotiating my mortgage and stuff like that because I knew it was coming up in the next couple of months, and I just didn't actually know what I was going to speak to her about. I can't remember, but this is what she said, and I was like, well, how does that work? And she said, well, what we can do is, if you're finding it, you can have a break. You can have a break from your mortgage, and we'll use that extra money every month to pay your mortgage. And hold on a minute, and she calculated, and it was like, yeah, that would take you right up to after Christmas. You wouldn't get your first payment, and you won't need to pay anything until after Christmas. And this was June. So it was near or was it July, August, September, October, November, December, January. Yeah, so 5.5 months worth of payments. And I'm just standing there, my mouth open, going, I'd forgot about making extra payments, and I thought that was coming off my mortgage the whole time. What the heck? And of course I was like, absolutely, when can that start? And she was like, we can start this month. And I was like, won't have anything to pay this month. And she was like, no, you won't have anything to pay to January. And she was like, do you want to do that? And I says, yeah. And she was like, booply boppy boop, done. She was like, so let me just go through this. First payment will be in January. Actually, you will have renewed by then. So we will contact you near the time when you signed your new agreement, which won't be until then. We'll contact you and let you know what the payment is. You'll get confirmation in the post, emails, blah blah blah. I was like, happy days. So my mortgage was paid. My mortgage was paid for 5.5 months because God goes way before you. And I'm looking at my circumstances and I'm going, all there's different things like this was starting to happen. I could see God's hand in everything. I could see how that happened. And there was other things were happening. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I was like, this is God. This is not a coincidence. How is this happening? I was like in disbelief. And it was nearly like, do you know the wee thing from Salt Bay where he's like, that's like what God was doing, flexing, we're flexing. And I was like, and even as I'm saying this now, I can't believe it, how that all worked out. And I was mortgage free for 5.5 months. So, time's coming where I need to go and get my mortgage renewed. And my mortgage advisor is excellent. Anybody that lives in Northern Ireland, hit up Darren Black. He works out of Mortgage Shop in Ballyclare, and he has been someone that God has put in my life most definitely. And I don't care if he doesn't believe that. I'm here to tell you, God did. And just at the right time. And he's excellent. I've rang him about buying other properties and he was like, no. I was like, yes. And he was like, no. I was like, please, like, sort this out for me, because I knew he could. And he did not let me sink financially. I was wanting to buy another house and it was a really poor financial decision. And he was advising me to do, if you really want to buy a house, buy it under and flip it. And he was trying to, like, he acknowledged I wanted to buy a house, but he was like, come on, look at your finances. If you're going to do this, you need a deposit of this, and you better buy a smaller house. Like, get real. He will not advise you, in my opinion, in my circumstance. God would not let him do that for me, because I would have sunk. And let me tell you what would have happened if I'd have bought that house. I'd have lost that house and I'd have lost my house, because that other house I was wanting to buy was secured on my house. Me and my kids would have nowhere to live after my husband had left. So sometimes you're just better being oblivious to God and letting him do his work, because you don't really have any anxiety about what he's going to do next. And we don't trust, you see. Sometimes you just have to let go and let God. And now I trust whatever he brings my way is his will, and I always pray that, what's your will, Lord? And you see, if it's something I don't like, tough. That's what he's saying, and that's what we're going to do. And I know everything works. Everything, even bad, works together for your good. And even the bad circumstances that happen may always work together for my good. And even back then, when I wasn't so aware of God, God was still looking after me, and I didn't finance that other house. And God doesn't want me to invest in other houses, I really don't think. Not now anyway, not for now. And I didn't lose my house, and I was mortgage free for 5.5 months, and that is no word of a lie. So time came to agree the new term for the mortgage, and I'm contacting Darren, and Darren's like, no, not yet, Emma, listen to me. Darren doesn't even realise he's doing God's work. Do you know that? People don't realise they're doing God's work in your life. So Darren says, wait until last minute in December. I know the interest rate is going to drop. You'll get a better deal. Don't worry, hold off. I have you on the back burner. I know it's coming up. I'll hit you up with the deals when I know they're coming through. Here's me, right? But you know, inside me, because I've got control issues, I was like full of anxiety and was like, right, Lord, can we just get this sorted? Because in my mind, if we could sort all this stuff out, I'll be sorted. Just fix it all. The typical nurse fixer. The Lord's just teaching me to chill out, Emma. These processes take time. We live in the natural world, and the natural world has laws of time. There's 24 hours in a day. I do not need to teach you this. You all know we live in the world. There's a day and night, days after days. There's 365 days in the year, blah, 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 blah. So we are constrained by time. And I have to accept that, is that I can't make time go any faster. That I have to go through the natural process of living my life and trusting God that all these things will come up at the right time. It's so annoying. But we're getting better at it. I've got the stage now where I'm like, I don't worry about anything. And even my mum's like, you're not worried about that, love? And I'm like, not one bit. Ooh. I don't care anymore. It's not that I don't care, I just don't panic about things anymore. And when I realise something's out of my control, then I know it's in God's control, and that's just where I am. So this time's coming up, and I'm really, really praying, Lord, about my mortgage, and you know, this is where I'm going to have to start paying it, and it'll probably be a higher premium because the finance market is like all over the place, and interest rates were going up, and Lord, what if I can't afford it? What if I can't afford it? What if I can't? Pure panicking. But still very much, Lord, what are we doing? Lord, you'll bring me a good deal. I know you will, because you've never seen your righteous forsaken. And I started quoting scripture over my life, you know, that his will would be done, and he provides all my needs, money, mortgage, house, whatever. So that's grand. And I'm in church one Sunday, and there's a old pastor beside me. He's retired now, so the pastor of my church is his son, but he's still very much a pastor, just retired, and he loves the Lord. And he's a very holy man of God. And I don't mean that in wishy-washy. I mean, because have you ever seen the presence of God on someone and it nearly frightened you? Well, that's the way he is. And he's powerful when he's teaching, and he has such a presence of God in him. So I'm sitting beside him, and the Lord says to me, Pastor, has a word for you. And I'm going, no, it's just in my head. I'm like, alright, this is in my head, I'm imagining this stuff. And end of the service, the pastor comes over to me, he was in the same row, and he says, Emma, I hate prophecy, love. He says, you see, when you're given a prophetic word to church, that's alright. But you see, when God asks you to give a prophetic word to a person, oh, you always wonder, are you going to get it right? He says, but anyway, I believe the Lord's told me it's here. And at this time, I'm waiting for my new job offer to come through. I had done the interview and everything, and I was waiting, and I'm like, Lord, where's this job? Where's this job? You told me that this job was mine. You told me it'll not go by me. You told me that nobody else is going to get this job but me. You told me that nothing can go against your plan. I was so full of faith. I was getting on like I got the job. I knew in my heart God promised me that job. And there is a girl that dislikes me because I got that job and I never knew her before. And you see, still the devil puts people in your life that just like them. Anyway, don't worry about that. So I'm sitting and the pastor says to me, the Lord says to me that you have not to worry about anything. He says, he showed me you in a wee car and you're going down the motorway and there's all these signs. He says, and you're looking and looking and looking at these signs and you're trying to read them. He says, but there's snow covering the signs a wee bit so you can't fully read them, you can't fully see them. But you don't worry about that. You keep going and God will reveal all this to you. You're not going to miss it. You're not going to miss it, Emma. You're not going to miss the turn. You're not going to miss it. You're not going to miss it. Don't you worry, love. God will show you plainly what it is. And see when you go forward, everybody else will follow you. Everybody else will come in your family. And I was like, right, okay. And I'm crying and crying and crying. Because I was searching for the answers of my mortgage and I was searching for the answers of my job and I was searching for the answers of my marriage and I was searching for the answers of my car, my finances, my children's like well-being, their emotional support, and all these questions, all these prayers and prayers and prayers. And peace of God come on me and I was like, I know what he's saying to me. I knew what he was saying to me. So that was the Sunday. Oh, and that was another thing he says, and he says it's going to happen really quick. It's not in a couple of months' time, love. This is going to happen very soon. So you be expecting. And I was like, right, okay, great. Fantastic. So away I went. That's great. So that was a Sunday. This is the Friday now. I'm sitting in my kitchen. I had my worship music on and I was singing. And my phone lit up. And it was like 13, it couldn't have been, 15, 13, the email came through from my mortgage guy, Darren. Emma, these are the deals, pick one. And 4 minutes later, another email. Emma would like to offer you the job. Boom, boom. And of course it was like, yes, absolutely want the job. I knew God was telling me, go. Leave the emergency department and go to the GP surgery. Go. So I was like, yes. And then I looked through some of the deals and my current mortgage provider came up with this. They always give me a good deal. And I was like, right, that one. And I had those 2 emails completed. Boom, 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 done, done, done. Mortgage was signed like in a day. Set back up again. Job was accepted. There's a whole shift in my season of where I was at that time. And that was all in January. So this is like 6-7 months later after chaos started in my life. God made it as easy as possible through those months beforehand. Really helped me financially, helped me with everything I needed, because I was, in my mind, I needed to focus on God and I needed to stop all this worry, and he would really talk to me very loudly at that time. And then it all started to calm down. Things were starting to move. I could see it all moving. God was like, Emma, come on, you can go forward, accept this, do this, change, move, boom, boom, boom. And that prophetic word from that pastor came to pass, and it was quick And he was right. So I goes into the church, film my cases. Pastor George, you were right. And this is what I mean by he sort of freaks me out a bit. He goes, no way, my love. It wasn't me. God's always right. God's right. And I went, yes, he is. And then he just toddled off. He just turned his back on you and toddles off. And you're just left standing there going, right. Well, that's that. And that is how God had used a prophetic word in my life. To come to pass. Now I believe God has given me a gift of prophecy. I have a lot of dreams. And I think God is teaching me by using others to trust in what prophecy is, and that when you have visions or dreams that they come to pass, and has given me so many dreams, so many visions, and a lot of them have come to pass. And I don't know, maybe he's going to use that more in the future. I think he is. But that's what I mean by being in training school. He use all these different things to show me like how this works and how God can speak to you in different ways, like prophecy through his word in the Bible. Like I hear God so much when I read the Bible. YouTube, I would listen to different people and they would give words and I'm like, I know what that means. Is she talking to me? It's like she knows what's going on in my life. And has helped guide me through those things. And he's used that Pastor George to give me another prophecy quite lately there, the past few weeks. And again, I'm sitting in the church and God says to me, George, going to speak to you. And I was like, why do I keep imagining this? And then at the end of the service, George goes, Emma, and I went, I know God told me you're going to speak to me. I can hear him clearly now, which is really funny. And he had some other woman, another prophet, powerful prophet of God, give me a word and speak over my life. And I'll share that in a different video. It was really quite powerful. And I go back and I listen to that over and over and over again. Quite a lot, because I can see it coming to pass in my life already. Yeah. So I'll do another video on the men that God has put in my life, the 3 men God has brought to me. They're not Christians. They don't realise they're doing God's work. One of them is Darren, and how I know that. And then there is another one, he's a mechanic, and the other one is, who's the other one? There's definitely 3, because I always keep thinking about them, thinking the Lord brought them into my life to help me with things. I'll have to have a think about it. I'll do it in another video. It's quite funny, and when I always hear from them, I'm like, God put you in my life. I know that to help me with like my car, because I don't know what to do. And subsequently has helped the rest of my family. So that same mechanic sees to my son's car, and that same mortgage guy has sorted my son's mortgage out. And it's just, and that's what I mean by God's like a generational God. He just puts blessings and blessings onto your children and their children, and brings people into your life that you need, that have the skills to help you get on with your life, really. I need to go and think about that third person, that's not me now. So yes, that is one of the words of prophecy that I got, and how it has been used and how it came to pass. God's prophets are a particular kind of people. Yeah. Like, some of them are crazy. Some of them are crazy. But a good kind of crazy. So, better go do some shopping, and I will surely share some more later.